welcome back for more Halloween adventure, and this time it's not zombies, it's aliens, or extraterrestrials as you dub it, whatever the hell you call it for this time of the year. Now, for this list, yes, I'm choosing movies all about aliens. Yes, there's hundreds and millions of them, just like the zombie apocalypse. They invade the movie genre just as much. Not only with movies, but video games, TV shows, you name it. But I'm not doing video games or TV shows. It's just like the zombie apocalypse. It's strictly movies this time. And obviously only one per franchise as well. I know a lot of them have been remade over the years as well, but, well, let's be fair here. One per franchise, and this is my choice once again. Don't go apeshit if you don't agree. It's strictly opinion, so let's get to the invasion. Number 10, Mars Attacks. Yes. Obviously this one, in my opinion, wasn't well received by critics, but I think fans, myself included, really enjoyed this one. There's a lot of big name actors in this one. You got Jack Black, you got Michael J. Fox, you got Jack Nicholson, Pierce Brosnan. I mean, the list goes on, and they do a great job. Danny DeVito is hilarious in this movie, and obviously this is a reimagining of what Tim Burton thinks of aliens. And keep in mind, it's a comedy. That's all it is. It's a comedy spoof on alien movies. Yes, it can be a little frightening for kids, you know, but it's strictly a comedy. Danny DeVito's hilarious. I mean, the whole, take my watch, don't kill me scene, and the whole fact that they blow up, you know, their heads blow up because of the grandmother's music. Spoiler alert right there, and spoiler alert on this whole list. I should warn you on this one. You should read the description. But it's a comedy. Take it for what it is. Enjoy it. It's that good. Trust me. That's why it's severely overlooked by most people. So, that's my opinion, and probably that's why it's so low on this list for being overlooked. But, hey, it was good enough to make the list. Take it for what it is. Number 9, Fire in the Sky. This one is, well, I should say loosely based off supposedly a true story about a man who was abducted by, or I should say claimed to be abducted by aliens over in Arizona. And, well, it's actually not too bad. Yes, it was a mixed bag amongst critics, but once you get to that whole, after being, missing for 5 days, and it's pretty creepy for the most part, especially it's terrifying if you watch it at a young age when it first came out. I remember watching this movie when I was young. Boy, it frightened the living shit out of me, especially that whole spacecraft scene where he's taken in to the whole examination room with the aliens, and boy, not much to say there. Definitely go see it, but I must warn you, it can be frightening, especially if they're young ones. But not bad at all. They did a great job, even though it's claimed to be not following 100% of what the source material claimed to be, but take it for what it is, it's pretty good. Number 8, Signs. Okay, I know this is directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and I know nowadays his movies have gone completely down the crapper. I mean, come on, but this one isn't as bad as all the other ones he's directed lately. I know this one's been ridiculed for the whole water plot hole and everything like that, and with Mel Gibson and all that nonsense, but this one actually is not bad. It's not as good as The Sixth Sense, but it's definitely miles of improvement. It's got plenty of jump scares, it's got a terrific soundtrack by James Newton Howard, and I think it gets to the root of things pretty well with the whole, don't lose faith, and I think it did a great job at the end, and I think that was the whole theme and everything. Yes, I know, the aliens were obviously CG, and it may have lost its scare after a while, but when I first watched it, especially with the birthday party scene, in Brazil, when they showed the footage of the alien, I was terrified as shit when I first saw it. And after a while, yeah, it's pretty lame nowadays, but maybe some points you gotta say less is more, especially when they're in the basement when the invaders come. And yes, as I said, the whole water plot whole thing, yeah, spoiler alert right there again, as I mentioned, it's pretty ridiculous, but I think the ending with the whole, don't lose faith because, the son was an asthmatic, and, he goes under an asthma attack, and that's pretty much was meant to be type of scenario. I think that gets to the root of things, like I said, really good, and it does a great job. So, yeah, this was pretty much before M. Night Shyamalan took the downfall of his directing career, so take it for what it is. It's not really his worst. I mean, give him credit for it. Number 7, Independence Day. Okay, this one is, well, mixed amongst most critics, but I think enjoyed for what it is. It's a good popcorn entertainment movie, and It's got a whole huge line of actors like Jeff Goldblum, and I know a lot of the characters are very stereotypical, but I enjoyed this movie for what it is. The special effects are awesome, the aliens are cool, and, well, yeah, you can argue the whole virus thing is a bit of a plot hole and everything, but Will Smith, of course, is awesome in this movie. I mean, you can't argue with the action in this film. The whole White House blowing up scene is just iconic right there, so good popcorn entertainment. It can be pretty scary, especially with the whole alien surgery scene and everything like that, and it's pretty good for what it is. Maybe not the best alien movie of all time, but hey, that's why it's at this spot. Good popcorn entertainment right there. Number 6, District 9. Okay, this is not a horror film. This is more of a, one of those very few films that you actually root for the aliens. The aliens are not bad, they're just misunderstood. And that leads me up, there's other ones, spoiler alert right there. And obviously it's about an alien refugee that oversees these aliens and realizes, one of their secret weapons. And obviously, yes, I reviewed this and acclaimed this movie very well. It's one of those, shot from multiple camera shot type of movie. And Peter Jackson obviously helped produce this, and I think they did a great job. So it's a little slow at start, but then it gets good, and you get so attached to the character, and you just get so attached because you realize that when he becomes infested with the whole disease that starts altering his DNA and starts, turning into an alien, yeah, you want him to get out alive, because he becomes a human experiment, and I think he does a great job with the whole, alien weaponry being biologically engineered, and the fact that they want to use him as a weapon, and the whole government ops thing, big bad government thing. Yes, I know these ideas have been sort of done before, but it's mastered so well, and Neil Botman, he's the director of this movie, his whole fetish nowadays with slums and the city of Johannesburg and everything. Yes, it's arguable that I know he's been hit or miss nowadays, but this one is definitely one of his best. It's a great, terrific sleeper hit movie, and I think he did a great job with this one. Definitely check it out. It can be a little gruesome, but it's definitely worth it. Number 5, War of the Worlds. Which one? Obviously the 1953 classic. What else? Yes, I know the special effects are fake, but like any other original horror or action classic, it's, the effects are limited for back then. Take it for what it is. It's still great. It can be horrifying, especially with the aliens. Yes, I know the aliens look more like something out of like the original Simon, that original game. Their eyes look like that, but it can be still pretty terrifying, and it gets to the root of things very well, and, doesn't have to involve Tom Cruise with the whole Scientology thing. I thought the remake by Spielberg was okay, but this one is the original classic. It still holds up well today. It stood the test of time, and, well, I still like it for what it is. It's still got the terrific soundtrack, it's still got the terrific horror, but, take these special effects in consideration for how limited they were back then, and enjoy it for what it is. Number 4, The Thing. Which one? Okay, this time around, I'm gonna have to go with the remake. Not that the original is bad, but this one, well, okay, it's not in, obviously it switches poles this time around, and these special effects are better, even though they're more gruesome, and you can say, less is more, and I'm honestly, shoving my words into myself at this time around, but this remake is actually really good. Yes, there was a 2011 remake, but let's face it, that one was not needed. It was too much CG. This time around, this is before the digital era really took into effect, or I should say, overuse of CG era really went into effect. And in this film, it really looks great. I mean, it was just mastered perfectly. One of the best horror film remakes of all time, about an alien that crash lands in one of the, I think it was a South Pole this time around. And obviously he takes the form of a human and, well, pretty much goes on a killing right there. So it's your classic alien invader movie right there, like War of the Worlds, but this time around it's not, in a flying saucer, it's, like the Blob, takes human form and pretty much kills anything in sight. It's gruesome, but awesome. Number 3, Aliens. Yes, I'm gonna go with the sequel over the first one. Not that the original by Ridley Scott was bad, but the sequel by James Cameron, wow, it is incredible. Yes, it has a great mix of horror and great characters. My favorite has to be Bill Paxton. You probably noticed that from my Contra review. And yeah, obviously Contra was inspired by this hugely in the Metroid series. And it's great. The whole The fact that it mixes its horror with action and war, and it's just terrific. The characters are very likable. Sigourney Weaver's back. James Cameron just nailed the living hell out of this one. It is terrific. The alien design is great. It's just one of the best sequels ever made. And it's no coincidence that James Cameron directed this, being that he also directed Terminator 2. So he's great with sequels, and this one is certainly no exception. Check this one out. Sadly, number 3 and 4 weren't that great. Forget about those two. This is the one to see. Number 2, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, directed by who else? Steven Spielberg. This one's not really much of a horror film, it's more of a great mystery movie, and this is pretty much around the big peak of his blockbuster directing career. Obviously, after this couple years after the success of Jaws, this is where he started taking in the whole alien genre, and obviously this one's got a lot of great heart to it, about starring classic actors returning to under his directing. Richard Dreyfuss, who was obviously in Jaws, also a great horror classic right there, and this one does just as great, in fact even better. I mean, the aliens, the effects, it's got great mystery to it. It's one of Spielberg's best, aside from another great classic. Spoiler alert right there. But anyway, yeah, it's a great alien movie. Definitely shows that aliens don't always have to be harmful and destructive. Definitely got Spielberg magic written all over it on this one. Now, before I get to number 1, of course, as always, honorable mentions. And this one's got quite a few on the list. Men in Black. Yeah. It's basically like Ghostbusters, but with aliens this time around. Great mix of action, gruesomeness, comedy. Will Smith is awesome, so is Tommy Lee Jones, and you got Rip Torn, and so forth. It's a great action movie. Definitely recommend it. Not much to say there. Edge of Tomorrow. This is basically Groundhog Day. I already praised this one from last year's best movie list, and Tom Cruise is just as awesome. I know he's ridiculed nowadays, but this one, trust me, is really good. It's basically, like I said, like Groundhog Day. He relives the same day over and over again. It's got Bill Paxton, Emily Blunt. Great. Only thing I had to complain about it was that the alien was CG and it looked pretty crappy, but if you can get over all that, it's a terrific, awesome time. Predator. I know this one's not terrific as, you know, the alien movies were, and of course they had a cross with these two films, and it took so many damn years after all production hell, but yeah, I know Arnold Schwarzenegger's a little over the top with this one, but believe me, it's still pretty cool. Christ, you can even play as this character in Mortal Kombat X. But let's not get too carried away. It's a pretty cool action movie. So, give it a shot if you feel like it. The Day the Earth Stood Still. What other one? Obviously the original classic. The new one obviously is all about, you know, global warming starring Keanu Reeves, which that one was not that great. This original classic in glorious black and white, what more can I say? It sets the tone, and once again, that aliens don't have to be hostile. Just try to show the Earth the error of its ways, and this one obviously is about the whole Cold War, so yeah, it's no coincidence that it takes place during the Cold War era, and that the alien just tries to make peace with the whole planet, you know? That war is not the answer. Alright, now the number 1, best alien movie in my opinion, what else? E.T. the Extraterrestrial. This definitely proves once and for all that not all aliens have to be hostile. One alien gets left behind after he gets pretty much frightened by the big bad government. What else? That they're just trying to experiment on him, and he comes to help from a young boy whose parents are obviously divorced, and Spielberg definitely, once again, put a lot of heart into this one. I mean, he definitely did. And it's no coincidence that the boy's parents are divorced, and that's inspired by Spielberg's, you know, life, because his parents were divorced too as well, and it was based off an imaginary friend that he supposedly had when he was a kid. Nothing much to say here. It's emotional. It's great. I mean, the characters are likable. E.T. himself is likable. Reese's Pieces was probably one of the best forms of product placement in any film. I mean, yes, product placements are ridiculed in movies, but this time around, you can let it slide. Every time I eat Reese's Pieces, I always think of this movie. The ride at Universal's great. The music soundtrack by John Williams is one of the greatest and most emotional that I've ever heard, or anybody's probably heard. The bike riding scene, I mean, not one but two of them, it's great. And of course the scene with E.T. almost dying, it's a real tearjerker. just thank the Lord that he came back to life when he did, because he knew his folks were coming back. I mean, all E.T. wanted to do was go back home. I mean, and the government did nothing more than trying to stop him from returning, and it's just one of the best. And yes, I know there's also a 20th anniversary re-release where obviously they altered a few things, but, well, depending on what you think is better, give both versions a shot. Yes, I'd recommend buying obviously the DVD or Blu-ray with both versions, and yeah, give it a shot. This is the best Spielberg movie in my opinion, for so many reasons which I just explained, and that's my list right there. Till next time, happy Halloween, and keep watching.